That might probably be late. Why couldn't you come Brandon Road?
Good afternoon. I hope you all had a wonderful Holy Week and a blessed Easter. Sunday, I should say, as we are still with. Okay, so now that we're not going to have the computer in the background, this is becoming something of an adventure now. Oh, I know what it is. Duh, that's dumb of me. I forgot I have Firefox still open to YouTube. So I can turn my speakers back on now, because now it's not going to talk to me. Anyhow, as I was saying, I hope everybody had a blessed Easter. Sunday is we are still in the season of Easter. Easter is actually 50 days. So it's not just one day, it's 50 days. Now, the Feast of the Resurrection, of course, is Easter Sunday, but there's an entire season of Easter. I kind of like there's an entire season of Christmas. But anyhow, hey, I did say I was going to have an announcement to make in the little promo and intro. We're going to be doing some hardware upgrades to the computer that I'm using to do this broadcast. For those of you who have been watching over the past few weeks, you may have noticed that the quality of the Bible studies visuals, not that they were ever great, really dropped. There was a glitch or something that was happening with how the screen share was being done. That was, I'm hoping, turns out to be an artifact of the fact I'm using a single monitor system. I just got it approved to upgrade my system to a dual monitor system. So I ordered the part should be in today. I'll go ahead and make the upgrade, so hopefully next week we will be back to a little bit more refined version of the Bible study, with the slides and me attempting to write on the slides. And you can, well, you, the viewer and participant, will hopefully be able to actually see them. Because I think what was going on is that rather than actually capturing the window that I was telling it to capture, it decided to capture my screen, which wouldn't have been an issue if it had gone with what was in the foreground of my screen, but it was piling everything on top and putting the screen, the slideshow in the background, so you couldn't actually see the slides that I was putting up. Hopefully, being able to move to a dual desktop system, which the dual monitor system will allow me to do, will mean that it will show everything on the one desktop that is only going to have my slideshow on it. And that will hopefully clear things up, and we will be back to a slightly more usable format than me just sitting here talking to you or just having everything piled on top of the slideshow. But for today, I am going to forego using my slides and my writing utensil because, it just, not that I'm the greatest thing to look at in the world, but looking at that mess was just unacceptable. And I'm sorry it went on for a couple of weeks, in particular before I noticed that it was happening. That's my fault. I don't always check the videos, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I just really actually hate the sound of my own voice. So I hate listening to my own videos. Not because I don't like what I'm saying, but I find my own voice to be grating to listen to. Which apparently, as I understand, as a complete aside, is actually a common phenomenon that most people cannot stand to hear themselves recorded. But anyhow, enough of that. Let's get into the Bible study. Gracious Heavenly Father, we give thanks to you once again for the wisdom that you have shared with us, and we ask that you would open our hearts and our minds and enlighten us with that wisdom. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. All right, so we are picking up today with in chapter 6, verse 12. We're going to take it in a couple of chunks. We're going to try and make it through verse 19. So 12 through 15. Here we go. A worthless person, a wicked man, goes out with crooked speech, winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his finger. With perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. Therefore calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment he will be broken beyond healing. Okay, so we have this description of a worthless person. Now, as we are getting this description, I would like to point out that this isn't really pointing just to laziness. It is understandable to come to something of that conclusion given the passage that we just had in the previous lesson, 2 weeks ago now almost. Yeah, it is 2 weeks, exactly. Since we skipped Holy Week. Where he was, where Solomon was pointing out laziness and wisdom don't go hand in hand. But this is something of a segue, and then we're going to be moving into some other sections now. The reason I'm going to say that we cannot say that this just is not laziness actually has to do with some New Testament references. In particular, one that by Paul. Now, the word that is here generally means a man without use, but it's also tends to be something of it, rather than just being lazy, a person of evil intent. So we're not talking the person who just doesn't do anything. We're talking about a person who doesn't produce anything of worth because of evil intent. Paul actually uses a Greek variant of the word that is translated here as worthless person in 2 Corinthians 6:15 as a term in reference to Satan. So with Paul taking the word towards Satan, and what is going to be following, particularly with 13, 14, and verses 13, 14, and 15 in Proverbs, and also on into through verse 19. This is more than just somebody who just doesn't produce anything of worth. So this is more than just a person who's lazy. This is a person who is producing things that are actually evil, that are wrong and hurtful, which would be very much in terms of who we could regard as Satan. Particularly when we start to look at verses 13 through 15, when we see the things that actually, I'm going to go ahead and kick it into 19 too. I'm sorry there. With these following verses, that we're going to see more than just simple laziness. We're going to see that evil intent. So with like 13 and 14 and 15, we go, he winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his finger. With perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. Therefore calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment he will be broken beyond healing. So with the verses that begin with winks with his eye, signals with his feet, points with his finger, he's this worthless person is hinting at wrongs and juicy tidbits. This is kind of like the gossip who starts signaling that, there's more to the story. That there's they're kind of dropping those veiled hints to you that not everything is as it seems. The person is um, being a hypocrite or something along those lines. That there's just something juicy behind the scenes that are really going to tear down that person. So we have just these different ways of signaling. Interestingly enough, the phrase "signals with his feet" is literally means talks with his feet, which is, this is just one of those fun turns of phrases. A person talks with their feet. Feet don't talk. But this is poetry, allow them some poetic license. um, this is a way that he's just getting across that point. He's giving subtle hints that something's wrong here. That he's just, he's kind of hanging a lantern on things. That things aren't as they seem, and there's a reason. But all the signaling is done from a desire to create evil, to sow discord. When you get right down to it, gossip and the destruction of people's reputation, it really comes down to that. It just sows discord. And it's hurtful. And so that's why he's going, this is evil thing. And it's very fitting, of course, with what Satan is going to be doing. The word Satan itself means the accuser, or the one who accuses. So when Satan is going to live up to his name, or attempt to live up to his name, and he's going to do things to stand in accusation of a person, and part of that is going to involve destroying the person's reputation. And he's also going to do it in deceitful ways, with the wink of an eye, or the pointing with the finger. You're just as bad, or you're worse, things like that. And it's just going to, just create discord. And you just see it all the time. Not that I would really wish people to watch soap operas, but really, when you get right down to it, that's what a soap opera is the sowing of discord. My mom used to watch soap operas for a long time, and when I was a kid and home from the summers and with nothing better to do, I'd watch with her. This was as an older kid, and after a while, I made the comment to my mom, I was like, can anybody ever be happy? Because it seems like the moment somebody starts becoming happy, something comes along to destroy that happiness. And 9 times out of 10, it was, actually 10 times out of 10, it was because of, the sowing of discord. And sometimes it was because of the result of that person's action, but oftentimes it was because somebody found out about that and then used that to their advantage to create a problem. And it really didn't matter who they were, if they were one of the ones you were supposed to, be sympathetic with, or the person who was supposed to be evil. That discord was being sown.
It reminds you of even Satan in the Garden of Paradise, because he didn't really lie to her, but he kind of
sowed the discord. Exactly. Yeah, Satan. That's what Satan did in the garden, as was pointed out by Robert here. That he was, and he didn't really lie, but he gave the fruit that led to it. He gave it. He, he sowed discord basically by saying, "Well, did he really say that? Maybe not." And okay, all right. So, yeah. Um, so the long and short of this is the man, the worthless man, the wicked man, the worthless person here is really a description of Satan. So this is not really so much as a warning to not be this person. Yes, we can to some extent take it as that. Rather, it is a warning not to associate with this kind of person, because they will be destroyed, and also because, well, what they do is wrong. What they do is evil. What they do is hurtful. So we are not to be associating with Satan, and so logically speaking, we should not be associating with the person who is filling the role of what Satan does as the accuser. So for us, this could be considered to be a warning against associating with the gossip or the busybody. Any number of terms that we can think of for the person who spends all their time poking their nose into other people's business and then spreading stories. And yes, by extension, we can say we don't want to be the gossip. We don't want to be the busybody. We don't want to be the one who is sowing that discord. And we don't want to be associated with Satan. So in other words, I'm saying we actually need to cut ourselves off from gossip. And yes, that does mean you don't get to keep up with the Kardashians. You don't get to keep up with what other celebrities are doing. You don't get to keep up with all the juicy little tidbits about what's going on at school, because we shouldn't be. That's the eighth commandment right there, that we instead should be helping to build each other's reputation, not spreading things that destroy a person's reputation. And if there is honestly a problem with the person, that they're doing something wrong and evil and that needs to be stopped, the proper course is not to go and tell everybody on Facebook. The proper course is to go and talk to that person. And Jesus says as much in Matthew 18. If you have a problem with your brother, go and speak to him. If he doesn't listen to you, take others with you to go and talk with him and try to bring about repentance. Don't jump onto Twitter and complain about it. Okay? Don't jump onto Facebook and vaguebook about them. Oh, that just drives me nuts when I'm watching my fellow Christians vaguebook about somebody. Seriously, everybody knows that you're talking about a specific person. Especially if they know you. Yeah. And they know the people who you're hanging out with or going to be around. Don't vaguebook. Don't be associating yourself with the role of the accuser. And so, because this person is going to come to destruction. And let's face it, that's what's going to happen to Satan. And contrary to popular lore that where Satan is the lord of hell, Satan is the prisoner of hell. He is going to meet his destruction in the fiery pit. Okay, and he's going to be beyond healing. He's not going to be the one tormenting you. He's going to be tormented. He's not the one who torments the damned. He is tormented along with the damned because he is the damned. And I'm using that properly, so don't accuse me of cussing. Anyhow, so we get this little bit. Don't associate with Satan. 16 through 19. And there are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. Hey, we've got our first counting proverb. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. Okay, so we've got this kind of a bookend here at the end where he's going, hey, I hate the one who sows discord among brothers. What is the worthless person doing? Sowing discord among brothers. So this is a continuation of what we just read in 12 through 15. And yes, as I mentioned, we have our first counting proverb, where it goes, there are 6 things that the Lord hates and 7 that are an abomination to him. And then if you notice, he lists 7 things. Now, he doesn't really say which are the 6 that he hates and which is the 7th that is just an abomination. But I think with what we have here, we can say that the abomination is the one who sows discord among brothers.
Yeah.
Because the rest are really largely just inclinations, thoughts, their attitudes, with the exception of murder, the hands that shed innocent blood. And also to an extent, feet that make haste to run to evil, but really, while that is descriptive of a physical action, it is descriptive of a mindset. It's kind of the train wreck fascination. We're fascinated with the train wreck. We just can't turn away from it. Another way we could look at it is this is the person who watches NASCAR for the wrecks. You're looking for watching people get hurt. I mean, seriously. And this is actually a reason why, as much as I like the discipline of the martial arts and the ability to defend oneself, I actually really don't like the MMA. And because really you're just watching somebody to get the tar beat out of them. And it just strikes me as wrong. Yeah, I said it. I think the MMA is wrong. I think boxing, for that matter, is wrong, because really it's just watching 2 guys beat the dickens out of themselves. I think it is a misappropriation of a God-given vocation. Anyhow, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. Rather, let's look at these things that God hates. He really hates these attitudes. He hates the proud. He hates the attitude of pride. He hates the attitude of deceit. He hates the attitude that brings physical harm. He hates the attitude that just seeks and makes out all these plans to hurt people. And he hates the attitude that seeks out the spectacle of hurting. And he finds the person who does these things an abomination. Now, all 7 of these things are an abomination, and these are things that he hates.
I'd say the lying tongue is probably, if you look at those lying tongue and the false witness, that are worse, because sometimes once it comes out of the tongue, that's stored in your mouth, it's worse than anything else. But the wound that can't be healed.
Yeah, the words do create wounds that are hard to heal, and because words can strike at a spiritual level. Which is, yeah, I think something we should take a look at. Unfortunately, I'm going to run out of time to look at it because I think I got the kids today. I forgot to double check about chapel, but I prepared. Don't worry. Anyhow, so in a sense, yeah, we could say in a way, yeah, words can be in some ways the worst. I don't think this really gives us too much in the way of saying that this is worse than others. But it does give us a picture of what the Lord hates and what he finds to be abominable. And it is attitudes. It very much fits with what Jesus is going to preach when he starts preaching on the Ten Commandments and the Sermon on the Mount. And we'll see it in some of the other things that Jesus will also say in like his parables and other things. So it's very consistent, and we're also going to see this play out in Proverbs too. So yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for this week. Hopefully next week we will be back to a much better quality of video. It's a little bit easier, more useful for you guys. And until then, blessings and have a good week.